Hi, Rich Spezzano here from Digitally Fearless, and today we're going to talk about the difference between cropping and resizing canvas. And are they actually the same? For the most part, they are, except for a few minor things. I'm doing this tutorial in both the desktop version and the iPad version, so let's get started. I'm going to File, New, and again, it doesn't matter what. I think I'll just pick Photo and any size and Create. And then I'm going to go to Stock Photos, which is right here. If you don't see it, go View, Studio, and make sure Stock Photos is checked. And I'm using Pixabay. You can choose what you want to use. And I'll type, I don't know, beach. Let's do beach. And I'm picking anything from the beach. Let's take this one, drag it out, and there. Now I did this in a tutorial once before. You could go way out to try and find out with the move tool how big it is and shrink it down, but an easier way is to just to document clip canvas, and your canvas will become the size, the exact size of the photo, so you don't have to worry about doing that. So now let's go over the different things. I'm going to go Control Command minus, make it a little smaller. Let's say you want the canvas to be bigger. You can go to Document, Resize Canvas, and that's the size it is right now. And we'll keep it, you can make it different sizes on the edges, whatever, but if you want to keep it in proportion, you keep the lock on. So for now, I'll keep the lock on. And I'm going to go maybe from the middle. We'll see how that works. And let's add an inch to each of these. Instead of 8.54, I'm going to go 9. Well, it's not going to be exactly an inch, but let's add an inch, and the other one will do automatically there, and do resize. And there you go. So now you just created a frame around the canvas, but because I kept it in proportion, you could see this is narrower than that. So I'm going to undo that. And if you ever wanted to do a frame to be exactly the right size all around, you go to Document, Resize Canvas, and take this off. So now you can do, as long as you're going bigger, this is a way to do it. So instead of 12.907, I'm going to do 13. Whoops. Undo that. Hold on. I'm going to do 13.907. And then instead of 8.54, I'm going to do 9.54, which means now I'm adding an inch all around, and I'll go from the middle again, and we'll do resize. And now we have a perfect inch all around, so if you ever wanted a frame, you can give it a white background, a different color background, and then you can print it that way. So that's part of clipping canvas bigger, but you can also, let me undo that, Control Command Z. You can also do Document, Resize Canvas, and you can go smaller. And I'll leave these proportioned. I'm just going to cut it instead of 12, I'm going to do 6. And I'll hit resize. And now what happens, let me go out, is your canvas is resized. You can actually move these around if you want, just like that. So one more thing you can do is, let me undo that. Now you can go to Document, Resize Canvas, and you could give it an exact measurements you want. So if you want your photo to be, I don't know, 10 by 8, let's make it a 10 by 8. Now remember, we're not, take away the lock, and we'll make it 10 by 8. Remember, we're not changing the proportions of the graphic. We're only changing the proportions of the canvas size. So hit resize. Now it's smaller than what it was before, but it's a 10 by 8 canvas, so you can decide by choosing this, and maybe you want this to be that way, or maybe you want to shrink maybe you want to shrink the photo to that size. Well, not to that size, but approximately where you think it would work. And I would say you'd go there and you do that. So I'm going to undo that. Now, why is that any different? You're just basically a cropping. So why is that any different than crop? So I'm going to go to crop. And we're doing exactly the same thing. You can make this bigger, like this. I'm just doing it by hand, and then just say apply. And there you go. That's what we did before. Let's undo that. Okay, so now also when you go to crop, you can do a certain size. Remember we did, instead of the outside, we can go inside and we can change the size to any pixels we want, smaller. And it'll do exactly the same thing. So let's say, I don't know, instead of 3000, let's just do original ratio, and we can just crop it this way. And we can keep the size and we can move it wherever we want. And that's the same as when we did it the other way, where we actually moved the photo and we hit apply, and then there it is. But you can also move the photo again, just like you did with resize canvas. Only the canvas is smaller, but the photo is still big. So essentially, it's the same thing as resize canvas. The advantages to crop, though, let me undo this. Now, the advantages to crop is that you can go to crop, and they have presets, which is really nice. So you can do, first of all, original ratio, which is like having the lock on in resize canvas. Or custom ratio, you can just pick something yourself. Or you can say, well, I can go here and go, wait a minute now. I want this to be a 4:3 photo. And now it's right here. So you can decide, here's your 4:3, that's your exact size, and you can move this to wherever you want it to be, and that's the proportion. So clip canvas and crop is essentially the same thing. The difference is that in crop you have more actions you can do. You can have set sizes, common ratios. You can do original ratio, which is the same as putting the lock on in clip canvas, but you can resample it to different sizes. So if I wanted to resample it, and I wanted inches, I could decide on inches, and I know I need this to be an 10:8 instead, and I have to print it to a 10:8. I could do 10:8, and right there, that's where I know 10:8 is. I'll hit apply, and I'll know this photo needs to be enlarged, and if it's not enlarging it too much, it might be okay, and you could decide. So you would enlarge it like that, and then you look around and you decide what part of this photo you want in there, and that's how you would have to do it. So it gives you really an advanced look when you're doing crop. I think crop is the same as resize canvas, just doing it a different way. And like all things in Affinity Photo, there's many ways to do this. So I hope you liked this tutorial, and if you did, please click like and subscribe, and have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye. Hi, Rich Spezzano here from Digitally Fearless. This is the iPad version of how I feel like clip canvas and crop is just about the same thing. There's very few differences, and I'd like to just show you why I think they're mostly the same. I also did this tutorial in the desktop version, so you can check that part out too. It's in the beginning of this video. Okay, so I opened up a blank document. It could be any size, and I'll show you why it doesn't matter what the size is. So let's open up from stock photos. Let's try scenery. The last one I did in the desktop version was beach, so I'm doing scenery. Let's choose this one. So I'm going to bring that over here. And I did another tutorial once before to show you that you don't have to worry about when you go to the move tool. You see how big that is compared to your canvas? You can make the canvas the exact size of the photo if you don't want to shrink the photo, and all you have to do up here is to go up to here and then say canvas and clip canvas. Now your canvas is the exact size. That photo is not shrunk down or not enlarged, so everything is exactly the same. Let me show you the difference between crop and resize canvas. And I can tell you that you have better choices in the desktop version than you do in the iPad version. But let's do first resize canvas. You go up to here and say resize, and on the bottom, right down here, you can choose canvas or document. I'm going to choose canvas in this case. And I'm looking at this photo and I'm thinking, I would like to make a frame around it. And I want it to be on the outside, and maybe I want it to be an inch wider. Well, you be careful of something. Here's a couple of things to be aware of. Let's say the anchor, if you want to do all around, you're thinking about going all around, so you want the anchor to be in the middle, so when it makes the canvas bigger, it makes the canvas bigger all around. But also be careful of the aspect ratio, if it's locked or not locked, because when it's locked like that, you're holding the aspect ratio. So say my width is 15.897 and I want it to be an inch larger, I'm going to go 16.897 and say OK, and then click apply. And then if you look at it, your frame is not even all around because of it kept the aspect ratio. So I'm going to undo that. And now let's go back, go to resize, and this time take that away. So now aspect ratio is not on. So now I can do one on each side. Instead of 15.897, I'm going to go 16.897 and say OK. And on this side, instead of 10.597, I'm going to do 11.597, say OK, and make sure it's in the middle. Right here is showing in the middle, which you just have to click there and then click apply. And now when you look at it, the frame is a perfect inch all around. So that's what clip canvas is. And you can now do the opposite. Let's undo that again. And now instead, let's make it smaller. So we can do, we can pick a size. Remember, if the aspect ratio is off, we can pick a size. So I can pick this, and I want, instead of 16 something by 11, I want it to be, I need to print this in a 10 by 8. I don't know. So let's try that. So this is going to be 10 inches by 8 inches. Okay, and from the middle I'm going, and I'm going to hit apply, and this is now 10 by 8. Now the photo is still there, but the canvas is 10 inches by 8 inches, so you can still move and decide, oh, this, I think I want him to be all the way over here, and that's what size of the photo is going to be. So that's how resize canvas works. Okay, so that's, again, that's the size of the photo. We can go back and go, we can go here and say canvas, clip canvas, so the canvas is back to a large size again. Now let's go into crop. Here's crop, and we click on that. And crop, the one thing about crop is it has a nice preview. So you can see, you can manually do something like that and crop it, and you just hit apply and it's smaller. Or, and if you say apply, let's just hit apply. Remember that now your photo is still there again. So if you click that image, you could still move it like we did before. So I'm going to undo that. And now we're back to where we were. You can also bring this out if you want, and bring it out just like you did before. So you can bring that out like that, and if you want to finish that, and again, you can give exact measurements if you want down here on the bottom. You could see there, or I can move the crop around. So it gives you a preview. So cropping gives you a preview as opposed to resize canvas, which doesn't give you a preview. So if I had set OK on this, I can hit apply, and you'll see, there you go. So now it's not even because I didn't punch in even numbers, but it does exactly the same thing. I just wanted to show you that the differences between resize canvas and crop are very little. You get a preview in crop. There's one thing that the desktop has that I don't see here in the iPad version. I'm not sure. I'm looking around. I don't see it. Reveal, darken, let's see, straighten, same things there, but in thirds you can do spiral, you can do different things like that, but and that's the same in the desktop. But in the desktop version, it has presets, a lot of presets, like if you want to crop to a 1-to-1 ratio or an 8:10 photo and all of that. There's a bunch of presets, and I don't see them here in the iPad version. If you want to see that, check out my desktop version. I know this is just a quick, simple tutorial, but I think it's interesting. And like everything else in Affinity, you can do things in many different ways, and you choose the one you want. So I hope you like this tutorial. Please click like and subscribe, and have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.